welcome to another episode of Adventures in Movies looks at dot dot dot. This week I'm joined by one of the hosts of Adventures in Movies.
Just me, just Blake. Sorry, everybody.
Little disappointing, but that's
Yeah,
okay. At least the handsome one is here this week. So,
yeah, you're here.
oh, this is true. When I said the handsome one, um, this week we're gonna look at Love and Stuff. Love and Stuff is a first-person documentary. It's directed by Judith Helfand. She's the documentarian. It focuses on her life as she encounters some pretty major changes. Her mother passes away, and she's about to become a single mother at the age of 50. So let's dive right on into this.
Yeah,
Is this the most frustrating movie you've seen this year?
definitely, easily. And we just watched a movie that I was supremely frustrated by the entire time. But no, this was yeah. I guess not knowing anything going into these things is a double-edged sword. Half the time, I'm really so far I've been really pleased. The other half I've been kind of like pulling my hair out. And this was definitely one of those like I didn't know where it was going at first. It changed directions, and then I still didn't know where it was going. It frustrating is the word.
I think what frustrated me the most about it, and quite a few things did, was it's very sad initially. It's
Oh,
very sad. Like
yeah.
she loses her mother. It's not sudden. It was over the course of a few months. Like she did know it was coming. And that doesn't lessen it that much. I mean, she still did lose her mom. But the frustrating part about, and then she's going to adopt a child, and we'll go into the details of all that. But she's not a very good character. She's not
No,
very in, and
no,
to me,
she's not.
yeah, and it's like it's bad things are happening. She's trying to do cool things with her life, but you can't get behind her, and it's really conflicting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you want to. Like, you 100%. There's a part of you right when this thing gets going. You're like, wow, like just like you said, she went through a lot, and so at first I was like, well, I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt as to this character, as you put it, like is a great way to put it. This is that I'm is getting revealed to me. I was trying to be like a little bit glass half full about the whole thing, but ultimately, yeah, I became kind of I was kind of lost, I guess.
So I guess at the end, what did you think about? I mean, in just like blanket terms, like
Like
her, hate her, indifferent.
I mm, I don't want to say I didn't like her because I don't know her, but yeah, this I
Gotcha. That's strong.
you know what
Very
yeah,
strong.
yeah right. But I wouldn't I don't want to I didn't care to look up anything else about her. I didn't want to I nothing about it interested me enough to I guess further my inquiry about her, I guess.
That's a good way to put it. The and yeah, disliking her is a little strong. So
Probably a
the
perfectly fine woman.
I'm sure she's a great woman, but
Yeah.
the thing about her is that she's going through all these struggles, and so this is not really a sequel, but it's a follow-up. And I'm thinking the documentary showed parts of her previous documentary where she's going through her, she overcomes it's cancer, right? Or she has a cyst.
Assist, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has a cyst that she overcomes, so she can't have any children. Um, over 2 decades later, she decides to adopt a child, and the thing about the character, and I don't know, maybe it's my age, maybe it's what's going on in the world today, maybe it's a combination of these things, but I just found her to be really whiny and
Yeah.
entitled. And with all the struggles that you're seeing, you have this woman who decides that, I mean, she straight up tells the doctor that I think I gained about 80 pounds after this, doesn't
Yeah.
want to exercise, goes to a psychiatrist to talk her into, ends up getting the gastric sleeve because
Hmm.
she's not gonna diet. And then she does eventually have a diet. She does adopt a baby, but then she even has a nurse helper along the
Yeah.
way. I mean, I guess that's I maybe in a vacuum, none of these things would bother me
Right.
altogether.
But yeah, and yeah, you're forced to look at it. You're forced to look at this in a microcosm. And
Right.
so yeah, I mean everything you just said, and we talked about it earlier off show, is kind of like these are all difficulties everybody deals with. Like, yes, you lose a parent, tough. Gaining weight, shit, we've all done that. We've all fluctuated with weight. Everybody can relate to that. Having a kid, not being able to have a kid, lots of people can relate to that. These are relatable things. But the way it's translated to you makes you put off by it, which is kind of, it's a bizarre thing because you'd think, oh wow, yeah, you'd be on board, you'd be right behind her, you'd be rooting for her. I never felt like I was rooting for her, as fucked up as that may sound.
I agree with that, and that's what's so frustrating about it
Yeah.
because everything is set up to be a very inspiring story. But I'd say especially in the last 30 minutes of it, because it's not very long, but in the last 30 minutes, it's when it's kind of like bombarding you with this. It's almost a it's like a motivational speaker. I don't know. Some people are fans of it. I'm not
Yeah.
a big fan. It's almost like it's like reading a book, like How I Learned to Accept My Mother's Death, Lose 50 Pounds, and Raise a Child.
That's exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. And that's not an uninteresting story, but in this case it is.
It's solely because of the character, and I don't know. Maybe if this was released 5 years ago, and I keep calling her a character, and this is a documentary. This is a
It
straight
is.
up documentary.
Yeah, but the word character is, I think, good. It's you're using it inappropriately because, um, and I guess spoilers for this documentary. There's a whole like aspect of this where the child she adopts, she virtually thinks is her mother, like reincarnated in a way, like,
Yes, yeah,
and so if you weren't already on board with what you're seeing when you hear that aspect of it, uh, it kind of throws the whole thing in a different spectrum. It did for me.
yeah.
I started looking at her in a different way once that was like, oh, that's why, because it was almost disingenuous as to why she wanted the child in the first place. I thought, I don't know.
No, I agree with you because, like by definition, it's autobiographical, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be very self indulgent, and
Right.
that's fine. There's
Totally.
nothing wrong with that. But I don't know, just the confluence of all those things that are going on, and it seemed like things that, like you said, there are things that we all have to deal with in one fashion or another. And in this particular story, in this particular time, and well, with my particular upbringing, maybe like it didn't catch fire with me. I just did
Yeah.
not enjoy it.
And you keep
Um,
bringing up like this particular time. I think that is 100% playing into this for us. You know, there are bigger fish to fry than
that
like
might be it.
than
Yeah.
like this lady's personal life drama, which, you know, whatever.
This person, yeah, this lady who's like, I can't walk up these steps, so I need to go see a psychiatrist. It's a little much. So it wasn't all bad. So,
No,
what did you think of the relationship between Judith, the director, and her mother?
I thought that was super adorable. That was the part that I loved actually, and well done. I think you actually get a good feel for how their relationship was. Very supportive, loving. You know, lots of love within that family, and it was obvious. It translates across the screen. Yeah, I would definitely, yeah, say that.
I really liked the moments with her mother. Like it opens up with like home movies of
I
them,
wish
and
it was all that.
it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, it
They're
was.
joking around each other. They have some very frank conversations. One of them totally disgusted me because it involved KY jelly, but it really showed how great their relationship was, and
So,
you kind of get a sense of why her mother it kind of looms over her life. But
mm.
I don't know the rest of it doesn't really hook in. The story doesn't really hook you.
Yeah, it's like two totally separate things in a lot. To me, it was like, here's this. Yes, I miss my mom, and boy, she was awesome, and I loved her so much. And then it was like this. Something I totally get behind turned into this like twisted. I'm gonna adopt this kid because it's my mom. What the fuck? Like,
So
okay,
that kind of leads to my next question. Same scenario. Would this be have been better served as fiction?
yeah, yeah. I think it's more believable if it's. I had a hard time believing what I was seeing, like actually being real. But yeah, no, I don't know. I find that whole aspect of it, and not to say she wasn't a loving mother to her daughter. Obviously, the Judith, uh,
Yeah.
obviously cared. I mean, just loved her daughter to death. Obviously, not taking anything away from that. It was just the impetus that started the idea of why she wanted a child in the first place. Was, yes, I can't have it, and now I think it's my mom. So it's like it was like this twofold thing that just didn't click with me as a thing that I wanted to watch, I guess.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Like, and we're kind of making fun of the documentary we're talking about. This isn't to speak bad about her parenting skills, about how she is as a daughter,
Oh,
about she treats her mother wonderfully.
totally.
Um, I wish we saw more of her brothers because
Yeah.
there's cool interactions between them. Like she genuinely seems like I kind of like facetiously said it earlier,
Oh,
but I do believe she is a good person. Like
I do
I'm
too.
sure she is.
I
But
do too.
this documentary is a really good example of first person documentaries. If you don't have an interesting story to tell, you might not want to do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, if she was also like the lead guitarist of a really hip like punk band in New York or something, that would have added
maybe it needed that needed that
something.
angle
I
too.
don't know.
Maybe she had to be a starving artist or something. It just like
Yeah.
it didn't work. So documentaries, those are going strong. I mean, we see it with true crime. There's lots of rise and fall documentaries, lots of making
Sports
of, all
big right
kinds of stuff.
now. Yeah.
They're huge, but the first person documentary you don't see as much of, and now with social media, maybe you don't really need to. Do you think the first person documentary is kind of become obsolete?
Boy, I didn't think about that.
I've seen a lot of
Yeah,
Instagram accounts that are more interesting than this movie.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, no, yeah, the influencer world, that's virtually what these people do is literally document first person their lives. Well, what they want you to perceive to see.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that's highly entertaining. I wouldn't describe this movie as entertainment, really. I mean, it's a slice of life, I guess, in a lot of
Right.
ways, but it's not entertaining, really. It, that's tough, I guess. But yeah, I had a hard time with it. I did.
If you, yeah, and I didn't even think of that. And I agree with you. Like, entertainment isn't the goal here. What do
No.
you think the purpose of this was?
Boy, that's a really, really good question. I think it was catharsis. Uh,
You know what? That's the exact word I was thinking of. That's literally
yeah,
catharsis and inspiration, maybe.
it's yeah, therapy. I think this may have been brought up in a therapy session. Like, hey, if you ever thought about putting this all on film and putting it all together, and now it's all in one place, and then you and your daughter can go back and look at, like, that's kind of how it feels. Is like this. She had the money to do it. She did it. Hey, she did a fucking good job with it. She put the thing together. Yeah, it was. But I felt like it was for her.
Yeah, like a passion project
A
at the
total
end of it.
passion project. Yeah.
So, what are your final thoughts on the movie? And then the big question: opening
Ooh.
day, rental, stream, or ignore?
Oh. Final impressions. Um, I think there's I think there's some stuff to like about it. I think anytime you get to see, especially parents, parent-child interaction, and this is like twofold, two different levels. That's cool. So I'm not going to say pass. Stream it. If you in any way relate to where this person where she came from, yeah, you might get a lot out of it. Probably more than me. I don't think this was for me. My demographic is not necessarily who this movie was for. Um, so yeah, I mean, stream it if you read the synopsis and you found it intriguing. Yeah, why not? You might get more out of it than I did.
I think you kind of hit a lot of key points there. That this has a certain audience,
Yeah.
for better or for worse. Like, there's some things that are across the board, and either people like them or not. This one is pretty much directed towards a certain audience, but also, like you said, it's not something that you can straight out say, no, no, don't watch it. I mean, there's great relationships. The family relationship is really, really good.
Yeah, made me miss my grandmother, like straight up. Like I lost my grandmother last year, and
Right.
it made me 100% feel like, man, I sure miss my grandmother. So yeah.
She does a good job of building the family in there. It's really good. It's when it becomes a little more self-centered
Mhm.
that it loses you. And you're right. It's just, I mean, film is a medium that's supposed to entertain, and unfortunately, this just isn't that entertaining.
No, no, it's not. Unfortunately.
So every week you can find us here on Adventures in Movies. Looks at
Right here.
Here we are talking documentaries, comedies, quote unquote comedies, black and white color. We'll watch it all. If you
That's
have any
right.
suggestions for us, let us know in the comments, and We'll look at it. I mean, we'll look at anything. We do not care. You can also listen to our podcast. There's Adventures in Movies, the quick and dirty version, also on
Ooh,
YouTube.
my
Come check
favorite
it out.
kind, actually. I enjoy it.
Quick,
And
dirty,
there's
and
usually
raw. That's
Danny.
how we
There's
do it.
usually a Danny here. We should mention.
There is usually Danny balances things out to kind of he keeps us in check. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it today, but he'll be back. Don't nobody worry. Uh, thank you very much. As Danny would say, like and subscribe. We'll talk to you next week.
Adios, everybody.